So if you are in the shoes of that person who has to plan training and development, this is very vital for you to understand, because how will you decide what training is to be given, to whom it is to be given, when it is to be given, so that the organization has a good return on investment. Because always remember, training and development is actually cost, which we look at as investment. It's when you know, next semester I teach you HR accounting, in human resource accounting, we treat the cost of training and development as an investment in human resource, and by this investment we are trying to actually increase human capital. Okay, when I'm saying human capital, that means how much the human resource is able to generate capital, or help in generating capital for the particular organization, right? So for all these things, it's important you understand these factors so that you can narrow down what, which, when training has to be given, right? Because it is you who actually takes the call in the organization for training and development functions. So when you do this, why this is important? Because all these factors act as input for the training program. In input, you know, all these needs, wherever, you know, you will see, suppose your organization, I'm giving you an example, your organization changes the technology. Okay, let me take the example very prevalent nowadays, work from home. Okay, it's not easy just to say work from home, right? When you think about work from home, lot of issues are involved in it. A lot of people are not skilled enough to work from home. Secondly, people don't have technology to work from home. Even if you have technology, you don't know how to use it. You are not efficient in using it. You don't know how to come across the glitches, right? So what I intend is just a small example. So what you do as an HR person, when you declare work from home, you prepare a protocol. What activities are to be required, what things will be required, what skills will be required by an individual to perform his or her work from home. And remember, when I'm saying work from home, for different kind of people, work from home may be of different types. It may require different type of technology. So when it's different type of technology, it will require different type of skill set, right? So therefore, this information here will actually help you to answer or get this a more clear picture in the input. Then you go through the process. This we will discuss in our subsequent classes. What are the various steps involved in training process? How do we, once we have decided what training is to be given, whom training is to be given, we start the particular process, right? We will discuss this in our later classes, and why, ultimately, why the organization is giving training to people. As in my class, I always focus, always ask whys. Remember, whenever you are given a case study, whenever you are asked a situation, even during your interview process, a situation, a context is given to you, ask yourself why. Asking why actually helps you to reach the answer in a much better way, more realistically, right? So why we go through all this process in training and development, so that we reach this. And why do we reach this? Because ultimately this is what which leads to performance. Ultimately, what the organization, why the organization hires us? Because the organization wants performance in terms of increasing productivity, you know, efficiency, customer satisfaction, whatever. It depends on the type of industry you are in. So ultimately, this will actually increase your performance. And here we, therefore, in this diagram, we clearly see that training and development plays a very important or crucial role in an employee's career to lead the individual into more desirable, giving the individual more desirable results in terms of promotion, career achievement, increase in salary, because all these things are related directly to your performance. Your performance is good, you get raise, you get promotion, you get good recognition in your organization. So ultimately this career satisfaction as well as reaching the goal of the organization, both these aspects of individual as well as organization is satisfied through the training and development system, right? So therefore it's very important, or plays very important role. Now let me shift my attention to these training, organization, environment skills, what you call these when we talk about these strategy, structure, policy. So we hear strategy. Is strategy constant? No. Right? So yesterday we discussed a lot about it. So when strategy is not constant, naturally strategy changes, all the other factors will go through a change process. If strategy changes, everything else changes. Therefore, time to time, training and development process, methods, systems have evolved through past many years. Okay, so training and development in a formal way actually started during the Second World War. The first trend, what is observed nowadays in organizations, is hiring of contract or temporary employees. Now in your paper industrial relations, you will see when we talk of industrial relation or we talk of employment relations, the framework of employment relations has changed a lot. Remember, employment relations, earlier we used to talk about more about permanent nature of the job. Nowadays organizations hire more of the contract or temporary employees, referred to as gig employees. Now when we are hiring more gig employees in the organization, can you imagine how your training and development will get affected? Gig employee means the person has a flexibility to work in your organization. Okay, flexibility, and has a freedom also, because he will be in contract, and whenever you hire a person for contract, it will be say a 1-year contract, 2 years contract, 3-year contract. So what is happening in the employment relationship, when you are hiring the person and when you are hiring the person, as well as when you are going for what you call designing the pay structure, maybe the other HR practices, you are focused on designing a short-term strategy, isn't it? You don't actually work on a long-term strategy, because you are aware that this guy or this person is going to be in our organization maybe for a shorter time. So this will influence the training of these people. Why? Because then you will be providing them training very much focused to their job requirement only, because you are aware that this guy is not going to be promoted. The promotion issues or their career issues are not a particular thing that the organization is going to look for. The organization is only going to see that the individual actually gives a good performance in his or her work, right? So therefore, since coming of gig employee is actually changing the employment relationships, therefore this will also influence the type of training and development you are planning for such kind of individuals. So here we see a shift. Again, we see that the companies who are hiring more gig employees or employees for in a temporary or contractual nature, they are definitely investing more in a short time training program, right? Because the guy is going to work for a few years with them, so whatever work the person is going to do, they will just focus the training activity for skill development in that particular area only. Now what will not come into this? Leadership development, you know, such motivational development, supervisory development, such skill developments may not come into it, but it will only be focusing on more such training programs which will increase efficiency and effectiveness of that person in that particular job, right? So next, let us look at growing focus on soft skills training. Now this soft skill training, I will come in another slide also. This is also called as power skills, or this is also known as behavioral skills, right? So more focus is on behavioral skills. Why? Reason is artificial intelligence. If you recall my managerial skills classes, in managerial skills classes, we discussed how an individual can improve his or her competency, isn't it? Competency in terms of leadership abilities, competency in terms of emotional intelligence, in terms of core self-evaluation. I hope you recall these things we discussed in the class. Why is there more thrust now on these skills? Because organizations are more getting automated and using artificial intelligence. Now here, please try to understand. When people are saying your place is, you are going to be replaced by artificial intelligence, don't just get carried away by it. It does not mean that organizations will not require human resource or not require people. It is going to just work on machines. No, it's not that. It's just that the organization is adopting automation and artificial intelligence for all those works which are monotonous in nature. Now, why I'm clearing, because many times students have this, idea that more of artificial intelligence is there, so human being, we won't get job. So there is nothing like that. Actually, this artificial intelligence thing we normally use wherever the job is monotonous, repetitive, or requires lot of loop work, in a particular cycle the calculations or the process has to be repeated again and again and again. So most of these ways we require automation and artificial intelligence. So what organizations are doing, wherever possible, wherever they find these kind of work, they actually go for automation and artificial intelligence. But always remember, dear students, that ultimately to manage those machines or to desire results from them, you need human resource. So what has changed actually? The skill sets, right? The skill sets or the competency requirement of employees is undergoing change, right? When this is undergoing change, so you need to learn more skills in terms of behavioral skills, in terms of skills you can handle AI and automation, automated environment, right? So therefore this type of training is increasing. That means training is increasing in area to develop, first of all, competency of people to use technology. Second is in soft skills, because when, remember yesterday we discussed cobot system. If you are in a cobot team where there are a large number of people, again, let us take an example, beautiful example, again, work from home. When actually in an office, we are supposed, four of us are supposed to work together, but now 4 of us are working starting from different places. Now you can imagine how much of collaboration, how much of understanding, how much of emotional intelligence is required. This soft skills therefore has become very, very important nowadays. So as a budding manager, you all should actually, I have been repeating this in my past class also, develop your these soft skills or your behavioral skills. These are going to be play a very important role during the selection process and career development in your case as managers, right? Now let me move to the third issue, that is data literacy. Now what do we understand with data literacy? Now there is a word called metrics. So in organization, what happens? They have these metrics which actually work as indicators. They indicate towards performance, right? So these are performance indicators. It may be profitability, revenue growth, employee satisfaction, employee engagement, rate of attrition, right? When we talk about, I just discussed with you, human resource accounting. Human resource accounting should actually assess what is the cost of human resource. We can calculate by this mechanism how we can calculate whether attrition is, how much money should organization invest in retention process so that the loss because of attrition can be managed. What I mean to say is these data are becoming very important in organization. And for manager, instead of just going by guts, this is the, why I am discussing today this 2020 trends. The reason is, it's not that in an interview, if you asked, suppose you are asked that you are an HR student and this is the situation, just suggest what kind of training is to be given. So when the guy asks this question, the interviewer asks you this question, you should have sufficient idea about what is the context, what does it mean, what figures you should take into account before making a suggestion, right? Which we also called evidence-based. So therefore, these data are playing a very crucial role in making decisions. So you have a constrained resource, you have a fixed budget, you need to make a decision. Training, whom should we give training, or return of training will be higher by providing training to which all people. And now while making this judgment, you have to see the ROI of training. If you give training, then which section, whether you should give focus more on training the salespeople, whether you need to focus more on training the managers. It all depends on the budget of your organization for training, right? So therefore, you need to collect the data, analyze the data, and then make a decision regarding the training and development methods that you will be proceeding. Next, let us move at culture. Now this is again, is a very important part. And nowadays the organizations are very worried about culture. A lot of studies are being done in culture. Probably next semester I will be taking your cross-cultural management. We will study globe culture. Globe is a culture study which is again earlier it was carried out in 1994, neither now they are carrying out Globe 2020. The objective of this study is to see the national cultural differences in leadership and behavior of people in the organization. Now, why? Because our behavior actually speaks about the culture of our workplace, and training and development has a very important role, isn't it? Because in training and development, what is getting influenced in training and development? The cognitive process, isn't it? Training and development is a cognitive process. It is trying to make you aware about something. When you are aware about something, then only you build your beliefs, then you build your attitude and values, and then only these results to behavior, right? I hope you agree with the sequence of activities. So in training and development process, the organization is making you aware of certain things. It's trying to, develop an understanding for certain things within you. So therefore, what you have to do is, therefore the training and development plays a very crucial role in developing a culture of learning in the organization. Whenever organizations go for mergers and acquisitions, it's very important when employee from one culture is coming to another culture, you have to give a training to them. Similarly, the onboarding thing, the onboarding or orientation program which is given to employees. What is the objective? To make the new entrant accustomed to the cultural environment of the organization, so that he or she modifies his or her behavior, way of thinking, attitude, so that he can align himself or herself with the organization, right? So this is an important contribution in training and development. And now why it's in trend 2020? The main reason is most of the organizations are going for mergers and acquisitions. A lot of organizations are going for mergers and acquisitions, and for different reasons. Maybe the reason may be growth, the reason may be for survival, whatever the reason may be. So in such a case, whenever people from different places are coming together, you need to reorient them. Another thing is your globalization, or coming of more of the multinational companies. Coming of multinational companies, another issue is virtual teams, people working in virtual teams, influences, people coming from different cultural environment are exposed to a common platform. So in their case, what happens if your communication, take a small example, communication or dialogue between people is very important for things to happen. Now, if the attitudes or the thought process or the values are totally different, it will influence communication, right? And if it influences dialogue, it will influence the relationships between people. So what I mean to say is training and development plays a pivotal role in pushing a particular culture in the particular organization, right? Next, let us look at some other very important roles or important issues where training and development has a very important role to play. The one is for competitive advantage. Now what is important for competitive advantage of any organization? What works as competitive advantage? They are the people. Remember this. People or employees are competitive advantage for any company. Why? Because you can capture all other things other than, you can never have same kind of people in two companies, and their knowledge and their competency actually creates the difference, and that gives you competitive edge over your rival companies. And now when human resource actually, or the people or the employees are competitive edge for your company, how can you increase their value? You can increase their value by training and development, isn't it? If you make them more competent, more skill, or develop them through more skills, through more effective, so that they can carry out their work more effectively, they will definitely be, or your organization will have a competitive edge over your competitor organization. So and what is actually contributing in the process? The contributor is training and development. So here it plays a very important role to give a competitive advantage to your company. The second is recruitment and retention. This is very important. You remember my classes on managerial skills? I often used to ask what kind of company you want to join. You remember in the class, in the board we prepared, and in the columns and rows, I put down your aspirations on the board. And if you recollect that class, when I put down those aspirations on the board, what did we see? Most of you want to work in an organization which gives you an opportunity to grow, right? If I go back 30 years, 40 years back, people never used to think like that. Even 20 years back, people, the thought process of Generation Z has changed a lot. The millennial generation is more career aspirant. When you are more career aspirant, obviously you will choose to work for an organization which gives you the opportunity to perform, right? So, and which will be, and not only to perform, but which also adds value to your life, adds value to you as a person. Or we see that training and development or continuous activities in an organization enrich you, add value to you as a person. So that is one of the important reasons why people look for a workplace which provides them more of the training activities, right? And that is what you will be probably looking when you search for your job interest areas. Another issue is retention. Similarly, like recruitment, you will be able to retain. Now see, another important thing I would like to say, as an HR student, always remember that whenever we use the word this retention, right? This retention, actually, organization does not try to retain just everyone. It retains performers. Always keep that in your mind. Retention, we try to retain the performers, the people, and who are performers? The people who are competent enough for the particular job. So now you don't want them to leave the organization, because such people leaving the organization is a great loss to the organization in terms of costs also, because again you have to reinvest in the hiring process, and in the process lot of technical knowledge that the individual has acquired during his rich experience and association with your organization is lost. So therefore, recruitment and retention, two biggest challenge in HR to have good employees, is also you can meet out these by developing a very good training and development environment in your organization. Because always remember, your training and development is increasing value of an employee, and value of an employee is ultimately increasing the value of an organization, which can be captured in terms of its customer satisfaction surveys, which can be captured through the branding of the organization as well, right? And next one, let us look at is the industry level training and development analysis. Now, what does this mainly focuses on? The organization output. What is the main objective of your organization, and what metrics in your organization actually help you to take a call on which kind of employees or which departments you should focus on during your training and development process, right? And this is actually we come over this by a good training and development need analysis. When we start our training and development steps, probably from the next class, we will discuss it clearly that how the need analysis is carried out, and by carrying out the need analysis in a very scientific way, we can actually decide where or in which area the organization or the industry needs to invest towards the training and development process. Next, we look at a few more trends that has been observed or captured by these societies of human resource management as well as other consultancies in training and development. One is personalized training. This has increased. You know, if you go back to 10-15 years, you will Association of Training and Development, they always used to capture that training and development is a group exercise. In group, people come together, work, and are trained, and then they go back to their workplaces and perform. Whereas now there has been a great shift where training are becoming more personalized. When you say more personalized, add one word called customized also. When you say personalized, the things are more customized. That means, you know, training and development has to be carved depending on or crafted depending on the particular need of an individual. And why this thing has become more important? Because of use of more artificial intelligence. See, when a company, when as an HR person, you capture all data points in your organization related to employees and their working, this data actually is very helpful to give you the exact outcomes or the, you know, the gaps an individual has between the expected performance and the actual performance that an individual is giving to the organization. So therefore, you can make it more customized, customize the training and development program. Moreover, personalized learning or training and development has been also improved by something called gamification. I'll give you an example of this called gamification. Gamification is a process, you must be well aware that, you know, through going through commands and going through activities that you need to perform in a virtual set, you actually learn doing things. Domino's actually made a very wise decision by gamifying the process of making pizza. So I've adopted gamification to engage the employees, to reward them through the learning experiences. So what I wanted to reflect here was that organizations are increasing the customized practice of providing training and development through gamification also, and which is becoming very you know, which is attracting a lot of opportunity for people involved in training and development activities to make such games or prepare such algorithm based activities so that the individual enjoys to do it at his or her own comfort zone, comfort time, and the learning experience is also good. Remember something I talked to you yesterday about employee experience. You know, if your experience is good, you will give good results. If your experiences are not good, definitely you will do only the needful. So when you are doing the needful, your company is not able to capture competitive advantage. Competitive advantage the company will have from you only when you do your best, and you will do your best only when as an employee your experiences are good with the organization, right? The next one, let us go to the technology industry will take lead in. training. Now, why technology? The most beautiful example was just I discussed right now a few minutes back, is about TCS giving you a training program to the students on skill development, soft skill development. Why is an IT industry doing so? So it is not alone in itself. There are many organizations now in last few months sitting at home. You must have explored. Many organizations are providing courses for free. Many organizations which is not their core activity, right? Which is not actually their core activity, and neither they are, getting money out of it right now, but they are indulging in such activities, promoting such activities so that students like you can gain. Now, what's the benefit of if students like you gain? The benefit is we get a better workforce, we get a better knowledgeable, literate, competent, skilled workforce, right? And once you get the skilled workforce, whenever you join any client organization, it is asset for that particular organization. So therefore, these IT organizations are very much indulging in these activities so that, they can better train their employees in skills. Now, another thing we see here, I'll take it in the next slide, that is technology upskilling with reduced displacement. Now, what sort of displacement are we talking about? Here we are talking about the displacement by AI, right? Lot of myth among people that AI is going to replace us. So just a few minutes back we discussed this, that AI is not actually replacing the people. It is actually being replaced to increase the efficiency and effectiveness of the activity which are monotonous or which are repetitive or in loop form has to be done again and again and again, right? So what can make you valuable? You should have the knowledge, skills, and attitude which are not replaceable, right? If you are that competent in terms of knowledge, in terms of your behavioral skills, in terms of your abilities, you need to develop yourself in such a way that you are a value to the company. Training and development not only increases your KSA, it motivates you, right? It gives you a feeling of recognition, enrichment. Another feeling you get is your organization thinks about you. Your organization cares about you, right? If any organization does something for its people, the employee feel good. Yeah, at least my organization is thinking about me. Now, what happens when you go through this process? Your employee experience improves, right? And once your employee experience improves, you will naturally stick to the organization. You will be more committed to the organization. You will be more trustworthy. Your citizenship behavior of the organization will be high. So therefore, in other words, continuous training program, depending on the requirement of the organization strategy, will help the organization as well as you as a employee in the organization. Next, let us look at the power skills, which I just discussed few minutes back. Power skills are nothing but the behavioral skills, right? So now organizations are more looking for behavioral skills. We discussed this, and these lines, if you go through, IBM reports showed that behavioral skills dominate the list of core competencies that global executives seek in employees. If you need to do a particular work in a particular way using a particular technology, your organization can train you in say few months or few days training program. Absolutely. But the attitude and behavioral aspects expected from you at the workplace, especially the collaboration, cooperativeness, to build synergy, to be team working, to have emotional intelligence, to establish communication. All these things are part of your behavioral skills. And you as a student need to focus on building up leadership skill, very important. Leadership skill, not to you fight for something, but actually you need to take initiative in an organization, to be resilient, to take initiative. When you say entrepreneurship skill, doesn't mean that you open a shop or you open a business, but entrepreneurship skill reflects how much initiative you can take, how you can start things alone when you don't have followers behind you. Right, and these skills are very much in demand nowadays in organizations.